Hey guys, this is Dave from Escape Creative, and I want to take a minute to go through all of the different options that we have in Design Upgrade Pro for LearnDash. This will be a little bit of a longer video, but it's going to cover every single option that we've got. Now this will change over time as we do plan to add more features, but as of right now we've got a ton of features that I'm really excited to introduce to you guys. A few quick but important notes to mention up front. We are fully compatible with both LearnDash version 2 and version 3.0. And in addition to that, if you're using LearnDash 3.0 or higher, you can use either the legacy template or the 3.0 template. Our plugin serves both and actually offers up different options depending on which template you're using. So you can even switch back and forth between legacy and the 3.0 template, and you'll see different options, but you can go back and forth and see which one you like better. If you are using the 3.0 template, make sure that you disable your color settings here on the LearnDash settings page. These will override any settings that our plugin puts in place, so they need to be disabled here by LearnDash. And now that we got that out of the way, let's get into all of the settings. This video will exclusively focus on the LearnDash 3.0 template settings that we have. We have created videos in the past, which I'll try to link to below, that lists all of our legacy settings. But this video is specifically just for the 3.0 template. All of the options for the plugin are going to be found in the WordPress customizer. You can get there by going to Appearance, Customize, and then you'll click on LearnDash Design Upgrade. Now you'll see a handful of different sections that we've categorized all of our settings into. So let's start from the top and work our way down. First up are just a few general design settings. These are things like your border radius, some link colors, and then a correct or complete color, as well as an incorrect color. Your global border radius is going to apply in a lot of different areas. Essentially anything that has a box or a background color to it, the global border radius is going to be applied. So that includes things up here like this, the corners of this menu, the breadcrumbs background here, this bar underneath your Lessons and Materials tab. All of your alert boxes will use the global border radius, as well as all of your content box areas. This is an assignments example, but any lesson content is also going to use that border radius. Even things like the browse and the file selector down here are going to use it. Also, your tooltips will inherit the global border radius. Link color, again, is going to be a lot of random little small text links here and there that are typically the LearnDash blue, but you can adjust that to match your theme using our settings here for link color and for link hover color. So you'll notice up here, I'll change it in a second, you'll see these links up here in the focus mode for next and previous lesson. The lesson and materials tabs as well will change with the link color. The back to course link down here, a lot of other smaller text links will change. Your correct color is going to update anything that has a check mark or indicates that something is complete. So different status labels that say complete, as well as all of your green check marks, whether you're using a course navigation widget or focus mode, or within your course content table on the course page. Anywhere that something typically was a green color before, you can adjust and make this a specific green color or any other type of correct or complete color that you'd like. For the incorrect color, the only place that's being used right now is actually on these delete and uploaded assignment marks right now, but we may use that in other areas in the future. So I'm going to change these real quick and you'll see the updates happen on the page. As you'll see, I changed the link color to purple and the hover to pink, the correct color to a much lighter green, and then the border radius is set to 0. So what you'll notice is that all of these things here, this is now square, this bar has square edges, as do the alerts, as does this assignment box, the file selector here. Everything was changed to eliminate the border radius, make it 0, which makes all the corners really hard and square. You'll notice that these now inherit the link hover color here, this pink. The breadcrumbs are now purple with a pink hover color. You'll also notice over here that all of our green icons are a much lighter color green now that we've chosen over here. The next group of settings is just for the buttons in LearnDash. You can get to that here on the Buttons tab. These will affect buttons like your next and previous navigation, mark complete, expand all, collapse all, things like that. These are all pretty self-explanatory. Your button border radius here is going to just apply to your button, so you can set your button border radius to be different than your global border radius. As you'll notice here, this previous lesson and this Mark Complete button both have a 4-pixel border radius, which is set right up here. And then from there, it's really just background color and text color for both primary buttons and a standard button. So your primary buttons are going to be your Mark Complete button, like this example here, as well as a login to enroll or a take this course. Anything that has a primary action assigned to it is going to be a primary button. And then all your standard buttons are going to be more your previous lesson, next lesson navigation, your expand all, collapse all links, and any other buttons that don't have a primary action are going to be your standard buttons. So you can update all of those settings here. And now let's talk about your course content lists. So the course content lists include the main course content that is automatically placed at the bottom of a course page, as well as your lesson content, as well as your topic content. If you're on a lesson page, you have multiple topics. It also includes like your assignments list, your list of quizzes, anything that has sort of a heading at the top and then a list of either lessons, topics, quizzes, assignments, any of that kind of stuff. Those are all considered your course content lists. The most powerful features, though, are all going to apply here to the main course content list on your course page. The very first option you'll see here is Disable, Expand, Collapse. So all of these, by default, you can expand everything, collapse everything, or do it individually. If you want to get rid of all that and just automatically always show every piece of your course content, you can check that. You'll notice the buttons go away, and all of the topics and quizzes that are underneath each and every lesson here are displayed all the time by default. The next option here is this course content. You can choose a header style, a background, and a text color. That's all going to relate to this course content header right here. So you can hide it if you want to just choose hidden. That'll just simply get rid of it. You can also choose a boxed style. And if you choose the box style, you'll want to set your header background color as well as your text color. As you'll see here, that puts a background with some padding and then changes the text color to white there. Another option is your container style. So the container is going to be what encompasses all of this information here. So by default, there isn't really any container, but we can choose boxed. That's going to create a little bit of padding here, and then we can create a container background. Let's just make it a very faint gray. You'll see it here, and then we can do a border width. So if we just go with a 1 pixel border, you'll see by default it's this black color, but we can go container border. Let's set that to blue. And there we go. We have a 1 pixel container border. You can play around with this, this border width. You can make it 2 pixels. You can change the color. You can do all kinds of stuff with a boxed container there if you'd like. Next up is the lesson style. So there's two options here. You've got your default lesson style, which is what you're going to see out of the box. And then you can also choose table. Table is going to kind of pinch everything together, and it's actually better. You can see it better if we get rid of the container background and just go back to the default container. This will show you what the table really looks like. So here's our table, and then let's go to default so you can see what that looks like. So default, there's a space between each and every lesson, you'll notice here, which is by default how WordPress does things. And then if we go to table, I'm basically just pinching everything together. This gets closer to that legacy style that used to exist back in LearnDash 2.0. We can also set a section background and text color. So those are for if you're using sections like these two right here. We can set a background color here and a text color as well. So that'll highlight out your sections. We've also got an option here for your lesson content. Now there is an option to actually hide the lesson content header. And that's this right here. So if your lesson contains topics and quizzes beneath it, you're going to by default have this lesson content header with the complete and the steps. What you can do is you can completely get rid of that by just checking this box, and that'll remove it. If you want to keep it there, but maybe you just want to update the background and text, I've done that here, and I've made it this light gray with a darker gray text color, and those are these two options here. Your next four options are for lessons and topics. They're just called lesson background and lesson text. But both your default state and your hover state you can change. So all of your lessons and topics here, you'll notice they're a light gray, and when I hover over them, the text turns to black, and then there's this blue, light blue hover color. So that's all set here with the lesson background is white by default, and then when you hover, it's going to go to this light blue, and then we've got a lesson text that's gray, and when we hover, it's going to go to black. So these are those four options right there. We can also change the lesson border width, so if we wanted a much thicker border width, you'll notice it down here on these that don't have any topics. You'll see this thicker border around all of our lessons. This is going to change the lesson border color, so let's say we wanted to do something crazy and go bright red. You'll notice that the lesson border color changes to red. The last two small options here for our line separators, that's all of these different lines that break up all of our topics and quizzes. We can change the color of those right here, so just a nice light gray I think looks good. and then indent the topics. Right here you'll see there's a handful of topics under this first lesson, and if I check this box to indent them, that's going to bump all of your topics over just a little bit. So this is really nice, especially if you're hiding that lesson content header. It just sort of gives a little bit more structure and shows you that your lesson here is this first one, and then all your topics are indented underneath it. The next set of options are all about focus mode. So let's take a look at what we can do here. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of you guys are using page builders to set up your lesson and topic material. So what I've done is I've added an additional content width option. So you can inherit the LearnDash setting, which you can set on the LearnDash and settings page. There's a couple of different options for full width and a few other ones. The full width option doesn't go edge to edge though. There's still some padding. So what I've done is I've made a content width option called edge to edge, and then I'm going to come here to this Elementor lesson. And what I've basically done here is I've moved everything so that it runs right up to the side of your sidebar and goes all the way to the very right edge of the screen. So it removes all the padding and really lets you use a page builder to lay out all of your content. Two other cool features while I'm showing you edge to edge is the option to hide the page title, which is right up here. I'll go ahead and hide that. And then I can also hide these breadcrumb links as well. So now you've really got a full-on, just absolutely page builder inspired design. You can also set the content background. So I've done an example here where I've done just a really light green. You'll notice it here on the screen. You can change this entire background color if you want. If you're using a page builder, you might not need that. You'll probably be using your page builder for that. But if you want all of your content to just have a different background color instead of white, you can change that here. I've provided two additional options to hide a few different things. You can hide all of the buttons on the bottom of the screen, since the focus mode puts the navigation links up here at the top, and you can also get back to your course by clicking up here. I've added the option to hide these links at the bottom, just kind of enhances focus mode so that those buttons aren't in the way if you want your students to use the buttons at the top and then this course link to go back to your course. You can also just hide the back to course link in the middle if you'd like, and keep your navigation buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like if I hide the back to course link. There, it's gone. And then you can also just hide all of the bottom buttons as well, and then you'll use this top navigation. Avatar style just adds a nice additional little touch. By default, you've got a circle, so focus up here to the top right corner of the screen. So if we want to change this to a square, we can do that, and it puts it flush with the very far right hand side of the screen. You can also hide the name if you'd like and just show the avatar. Or you can actually hide the avatar and just show the name, or you can even just hide them both if you don't want either of them there. And while we're up there, the top menu background and the top menu text, this affects the drop-down menu that shows up here when you hover over the name or the avatar. So I've set this to a dark gray with a white text for the menu. The last three options are all about the sidebar here for focus mode. So you can set a global background color. So I'll go to a light gray, and you'll notice how that changes all of these options here. The entire sidebar goes to this light gray color. And then the course background and course text, that relates to this up here at the very top of the sidebar. You can change the background color as well as the text color for that. You may be wondering how to change the background hover effect here, as well as the colors and this section, background color and text color. All of that is found within the course navigation. So these styles apply to both this focus mode sidebar as well as the course navigation widget. So whatever you set here will apply in both areas. We're just going to take a look at focus mode. Similar to course content list, how you can expand and collapse the topics that are found underneath a lesson, we've added the ability for you to disable the expand collapse. So by default, we've got 3 topics and 1 quiz here, as well as 1 topic here. They all need to be opened up individually. If you want to get rid of these links and just show everything, go ahead and check that box. And now everything is displayed. There's no extra clicks that are needed, and it's all displayed by default. Section background and section text, pretty obvious here, but we've got a black background with some white text, so all of your sections are going to take on those colors. And then from there we've got link text as well as link background, and then link text on hover. So that is what dictates all of your styles right here. We've got a light blue hovering to a darker blue, and then we add this gray background color on hover as well. And then our line separator colors, which are what separates each and every lesson and topic within our list. Next up is our profile options. These will appear anytime you use the profile block in Gutenberg or the LD profile shortcode. So I've given you 3 general options here at the top. You can hide the entire user section, which is the avatar, the name, and the edit profile. You can also hide just the statistics section, which is right here in the center, or you can choose to hide the Your Courses piece underneath. So this will hide the entire section if we check any one of these. So let's see what it looks like if we just get rid of that user info at the top. We can also get rid of our statistics, and now we have just a nice clean Your Courses setup. I'm going to go ahead and enable these again so I can show you the rest of the options here. By default, the avatar is a circle. We can choose to make that a square, or we can actually hide it altogether. Edit profile link, we can completely hide it by checking this box. Or we can also add a edit profile URL that is custom that goes to whatever membership or e-commerce plugin or just another location, another page you've created for the user to edit the profile. You can insert that URL here. You can also hide each individual statistic on its own. So I'm going to hide the completed and the certificates. And now I just have courses and points showing up here. So you can hide whichever ones of the statistics that you'd like to here. Disable expand collapse. I've got that enabled here. You'll notice that there's no more expand collapse all button and everything is just automatically shown by default. I can also choose to disable the search. So by default you've got the search here. If we want to disable that, we can do that as well. These last three options for hide quiz, essay, and assignment lists come into play if you've got assignments right here, quizzes, or you'll see some essays as well. So if I hide the essay lists, you'll notice that my essays are gone and now I just have quizzes. I can also hide the quiz lists. Now my quizzes are gone and now I just have these assignments that are displayed, but if I want, I can also hide assignments. So now I just have a super clean picture of all of my courses and then the percent complete and the status of each course, and that's it. Now let's take a look at the progress bar options. So these progress bar options will apply everywhere that you see a progress bar. The only difference is that if you set a height that is too tall, it won't take that height here in focus mode just because we only have a certain amount of height in our header here. But aside from that, every single other option you choose here on the progress bar will apply wherever you see a progress bar throughout LearnDash. So I've got this striped option here, which you'll notice puts some nice stripes on the bar. You can just choose default, and that'll just have your basic color. Progress bar container, and then the progress bar itself. You'll notice my container is set to this light gray, and the bar itself is set to purple. The border radius is 0, that's why there's these hard edges, but we can go to a larger border radius, and you'll notice now we've got a nice curve here. The height is 9 pixels. If we wanted to go really small, we can even go all the way down to 2 pixels there. You can also make this a lot larger, but again, in focus mode, it will only be but so large until we run out of space up here in focus mode. That little animation that you see on a slight delay when the page loads, that happens when you check this box here. It'll just wait just a split second and then animate that bar every time somebody loads up a new page. You can also choose to hide or show the percent complete as well as the X out of Y steps. So if I show everything, you'll see there's normally this 10 out of 13 steps right here. I can go ahead and hide that. I can also hide the percent complete if I want and just show the bar itself. And then let's say maybe I just wanted the steps in there. Oops, I would just do that and just show the steps instead. Or again, like I said, show nothing at all. So those are all the options there with the progress bar. The tooltip options are really simple. It's just a background color and a text color. That applies here to all of your tooltips throughout LearnDash. They're all going to take on the same background and text color. I've got this dark gray with a white text. And also remember that your tooltips will inherit your global border radius. So if I've entered 0, that's why you'll see these hard edges. But if you enter a global border radius of say 10 or 15 pixels, these will be nice and rounded. The final set of options we'll cover here in this video is for the course grid. These options will only be available if you have enabled the course grid. It's a free add-on from LearnDash, but if you have it installed and enabled and then you're using the course grid, either the shortcode or a block somewhere on your site, then all of these options will apply. By default, we've actually already made some nice enhancements. We've made all of these boxes an equal height so that there's no more jagged back and forth if you add a different length title or a different short description that doesn't match the same length as everything else, or your images are different sizes like you'll see here. All of your grid items are going to be equal height. We've also bumped the button and the progress bar down here to the very bottom, just so that it's nice and consistent. All your action buttons and your progress are in the same spot. So those happen automatically. And this is what your grid will look like by default. If you do notice here, these buttons will take on your primary button styles that you've set previously with our plugin. All the other options here for the course grid are going to be under this course grid section. So by default, there's a 2 pixel gray border here. We can go border width. Let's say maybe we want to make that just 1, and let's make it purple just to be a little flashy. There we go. We can also change the border radius. So if we wanted everything to look rectangular, we'd go 0. We can also go something like 12 and give it some pretty curved edges there. If we want a shadow to appear by default, then we can do that. I don't know if you could see that there. Maybe let me go to gray here so you can notice that little shadow. There we go. So now they all have a shadow by default. Let's say maybe you don't want the shadow by default, but you want to add the shadow each time you hover. We can do that by checking this box. Now we've got a nice shadow that appears each time we hover over a grid item. We can also choose to either lift or enlarge on hover. So I like the lift effect personally, but I give you the option to use either one. So it just kind of pulls it up just a couple of pixels when you hover over it. Looks really good when you add the shadow as well. Or you can choose to enlarge it on hover, which will just expand it in all directions a little bit when you hover over it. Then the last 3 options here for the category selector. You need to enable that within Gutenberg if you're using the block, or enable it within the shortcode, otherwise it won't show up. But the category selector is up here. So what we can do is we can have it full or inline. You won't notice a difference unless you set a background color and a padding. So let's go ahead and do that and set a background color here of blue. You'll notice that it spans the entire width. Then we can also go inline, and that'll make it just show up like this. And then padding, let's say we just wanted maybe like 5 pixels of padding. That'll shrink that down a little bit and we'll have some padding there. Again, these square edges that appear for the course category selector are chosen based on your global border radius that you set under the general design options. One thing that's not included right now in this version, but it will be in the next couple of days, so by the time you watch this video, it may be in there, but we are going to add the ability to adjust these course ribbon colors for the enrolled, the completed, the free ribbon, as well as the custom ribbon. Those are in our previous LearnDash 2.0 version. Now that LearnDash 3.0 is out, we left them out initially, but based on customer feedback, we're going to add them back in. So you don't see them here in this video, but they will be included. You will be able to edit each of these different background color and text color for all of the different ribbons here for enrolled, completed, and custom ribbons. And that does it right now for all of our options. Like I said, we are going to be adding a lot more in the coming weeks and months, so please stay tuned. Please send us your feedback. I'd love to hear what kind of features you guys want to see. There's a lot more going on with LearnDash 3.0, which gives us a lot more opportunities to do a lot of cool design stuff for you. If you have any questions, as always, either leave a comment or just shoot me an email through our website, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and as well as listen to all of your feedback and ideas. Thanks for watching all the way till the end, and we'll catch you next time.